Hi guys, and to the story of Chris Harris of Top Gear, Mr. JWW of YouTube, I suppose, and Litchfield Motors, and the possibly rather murky story of supposedly an influencer or YouTuber demanding that an aftermarket parts specialist not only fit a specialist upgrade suspension to a car, but also pay £25,000 and pay commission on each one of those parts that was going to be sold as a result of that. This isn't something I was going to get into. This is a story that a lot of you guys, if you follow all of the YouTubers and influencers, and of course Chris Harris, then you will have been following this. I was following it from afar. But what happened was that the other day I signed up to a new app called the Stereo app, and there I am on it. I think I'll put it up there as well. And let me know what you think of that app. Follow me if you can, if you're on it, and let me know if you want to do anything on there. And my plan originally today was to do another one of my brand new versus classic cool series, so probably the fourth one. And this morning I was setting up, preparing for that, and I'm just doing some scripting and stuff, and I ended up spending the time instead listening to this, which is basically Yianni of what is it, yiannimize, talking to Mr. JWW precisely about this issue. It was a very fascinating conversation, so I thought, you know what, let me give my viewpoint on this as somebody that kind of straddles both the spheres of automotive journalism and automotive content creation and influencing, and have done for many years, but also somebody that's worked in the professional publishing environment for nearly 3 decades as well. So yeah, this is, I know a lot of people are interested in talking about this, so let's get into this. The new versus classic I'll do next week. I've also got a great piece of content that hopefully will drop tomorrow as well on this channel, so make sure that you're subscribing to, of course, youtube.com/browncarguy. Of course, subscribe also to browncarguy.com, and follow me on all the social media. Just search for #browncarguy, and also sponsor and support my channels. Just go to patreon.com/browncarguy. Cool. Now let's get into this. So here we go on the story of Chris Harris, Mr. JWW, Shmee150 to an extent, Litchfield Motors, and now Yianni of Yiannimize, and this podcast that he did with Mr. JWW, in which he extensively spoke about the whole situation. Like I said, most of you will know what it was all about, but if you haven't been following it, then in a nutshell, apparently what happened was that Chris Harris, he professional automotive journalist of many years, possibly a brown car guy, well known for his work on Evo, well respected and known for his work on Evo. Also a lot of stuff he's done on YouTube. He has done a lot of in that influencer type content creation type arena as well, but of course more recently known to everybody as one of the Top Gear presenters. So he apparently is good buddies with the people at Litchfield Motors. Now Litchfield Motors is a servicing maintenance company as far as I can tell, but they also do performance upgrades and that sort of stuff for high performance vehicles. And apparently he put out on his social media that some influencer YouTuber type had asked Litchfield to basically do a suspension upgrade on the Toyota GR Yaris, the cool new Yaris, which I haven't managed to review yet, but stay tuned, hope to try and get that later this year, and also do the suspension upgrade, but on top of that demanded £25,000 for doing that, but also commission on every one of those upgrade parts that were sold as a result of that. This, of course, created a, well, he actually put this out on his social media that this had happened. Of course, again, a lot of you guys that follow all of these things immediately started to figure out, well, who's bought a Yaris GR? And apparently, Watson of CarWow, and then Mr. JWW, apparently he bought one, and also Shmi 150 has got one. So immediately people started, for some reason they assumed that it was Shmi, to an extent that Shmi got quite a bit of flack for that, and somebody from his agency put out some kind of a statement in which they basically said, no, it's not us. And they kind of alluded to it was somebody called James. So from that, people obviously put two and two together, and they concluded that it must be Mr. JWW, his name being James. So this, of course, has created a proper shitstorm in this arena of, automotive content creators and social media influencers, and of course journalists as well to less extent in the journalism industry, but certainly in this other arenas, to the extent that obviously Mr. JWW has had to come out and defend himself. So this thing that I was listening to with Yianni. Now Yianni, again, is somebody that, when I first became aware of him, I was like, it's a guy that wraps cars, what's the big deal? People watching a show about somebody sticking some plastic onto cars. I mean, who really cares? But I've watched a couple of pieces of his content. I've watched a couple of his videos, and he has got a great personality. He's very forthright and about what he is and what he does, and I enjoyed a video that he did recently in which he, basically broke down and explained the question of how does he own so many supercars and expensive cars. And it was quite interesting that even I didn't know stuff, for example, that, in some cases when you're at that level in terms of YouTuber or influencer, you get offered these incredible lease deals on very, very desirable cars that are essentially no-brainers. You just think, even if I'm just going to park it in the corner, I might as well just have it because it's so cheap, it'd be rude not to. So that kind of broke that down. And that also actually reminded me of another video that I had seen with a guy called, what was his name? He was the Remove Before Race is his channel. I don't know what his name is. And he did an interview with Chris Harris. Oh, there's Chris Harris again. Because Chris Harris has a bit of a track record of going up against influencers, which I find a bit odd because I feel that he actually straddles both of those arenas. So I think he does, he's got a foot in each camp. But there's no doubting his credentials as a bona fide motoring journalist. But I think that from the work he's done on YouTube and stuff, I think that, he straddles both camps. But anyway, he often has a go at influencers. To be fair, a lot of us journalists have had a go at them in the past, particularly in the early days of when this whole concept of influencers emerged. I myself had a go. I mean, as a journalist, you can't help but feel, oh, these guys are muscling on something that that used to be our sole arena. But anyway, that's by the by. Apparently they had a bit of a tete-a-tete, this guy from Remove Before Race and Chris Harris. So they sat down and they had an interview. And in this interview, the guy that runs that YouTube channel, he also confessed that, well, I think Chris asked him, how do you afford these cars? And he said, well, I earn X amount from YouTube every month because of my YouTube views. If I have to lease cars for X amount, well, actually that gives you more content and it's well worth it. So it kind of makes sense on that side. And, you can't really take too much away from these guys. So to be fair, that's all straightforward. That's how YouTubers work. That's how influencers work. And you've got to, the thing with these guys is you've got to understand what they're about, and what they're about is essentially two things. One is they're growing their audience, so they have to have big numbers. That's the thing that they need. They need big numbers, and they'll do anything in order to get those big numbers. So whether it's stunts, whether it's buying cars, whether it's doing trips, whether it's doing modifications, whatever, they do that. Secondly, of course, their motivation is to make money. I mean, and there's no bones about it. There's no hiding it. They make money, and this conversation between Yianni and Mr. JWW was very explicit about that and very honest honest about it, and you think, yeah, fair enough, but they are companies, Yianni is somebody who has a car wrapping business and property businesses, and he leverages his media output to basically build more customer base for that market and charge high prices because he's able to give people the level of exposure that he is. Similarly, Mr. JWW, as he said, he employs 25, 30 people, and he does a lot of stuff that we don't see him doing. To be honest, I don't really follow him. I just to clarify, I don't know any of these people personally. I have no beef with them. I have no agenda with them, but whatever. So I'm just giving a purely independent perspective on this. But it sounded quite reasonable to me. He has employees, his company has a business, he has to do stuff. In this interview, he going back to these whole genre of people, they're all the same. Shmi 150 has agents, Supercar Blondie, she is a very clever person in the sense that she was a model and a journalist. She used to be on Dubai Radio, and she has a husband who's well into cars, and they combine that, and love her or hate her, what she's done is absolutely extraordinary, but they're in it for the audience, they're in it for the entertainment, and of course they're in it for the sweet deals that they make. And as Mr. JWW explicitly admitted that yes, an agent of his had been in talks with Litchfield Motors for quite a substantial amount of time, and he said that the whole thing had come across unfairly. It sounded like somebody had called them and said, right, I need this, I'm demanding this, and you have to do this, and it's this or nothing else. And he said no, it doesn't really work like that. What it is that we offer people, we look at what somebody wants to do, we look at how we can work with them, and we offer them a menu, if you like, a tariff menu of options. We can do it this way, or you can pay the 25,000, or we can do it on a commission basis, or we can do this or whatever, so, or one video, and 25,000 is like a starting rate for these kind of guys, because they're in that league where they have millions of followers, so that makes perfect sense. So the fact is that he was very open about the fact that somebody from his agency did do it. He said that the way it had come across was not correct, because that wasn't how the approach was made. The approach was part of a discussion, and of course there are all the moral questions or the ethical questions about people naming names and naming each other. Should Chris Harris have said that this had happened? Should Shmi's agent have said that it was somebody called James? That's a whole different thing, and there's the whole legality of that I don't want to get into, so let's not do that. But moving on, now coming back to Chris Harris and what he said about it, that took me a little bit by surprise. That he took such umbrage at this this kind of a deal, because as Mr. JWW and Yianni point out, that these kind of deals are not unusual at all. I mean, they are a business, and they're in it to make business, and it's a promotional campaign at the end of the day. They're not unusual in their arena, but I would say, I've worked in big publishing houses here, I've worked in big publishing houses in the Middle East, and I would say that even in publishing, that's not that unusual, to have a deal like that. It's not entirely unheard of, even down to the commission thing, that wouldn't be an entire surprise. So again, as a bit, it's kind of like, well, why, that these kind of deals are done. Why are you having a go at this guy because of this? Is it just because they're your mates, or what was it? I don't know. Anyway, so I was a little bit surprised about that. But there is the whole, like I said, there's the whole clash between influencers and journalists. And what everybody needs to realize is that there are people like Chris Harris and me that try and straddle both sides, but there are two different remits to what each of those people are trying to do. And as I've already said, with influencers and YouTubers, I mean, they're in it to make money. That's what they are. I mean, as Mr. JWW or Shmi, these guys, they're about enjoying the supercar lifestyle, in which they have to buy supercars and jet around the world, and then they have to finance that. So that's the content they're creating that people find entertaining. So it kind of, you feed that monster. You continue. The more you watch that content, the more the numbers go up. The more money they make, the more they're able to do that. The more you want to watch their content. So it's it's a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing. But on the other hand, as journalists, our remit is different. Throughout my entire career as a motoring journalist, what I've always tried to do is to bring content, whether it's for readers in magazines or newspapers, it's in a digital environment or in a YouTube environment or on the radio or on the TV, is to try and bring you content that helps you to buy a car. So it's not just about me enjoying cars. I love cars, I enjoy cars, I love driving cars, and of course, who doesn't like to drive fast, exotic metal? But as you'll see on my channel, if you just click through my reviews, a lot of the reviews I've done are not fast exotic metal. They're very ordinary cars that you and I would buy and run, as our daily drivers or as our family vehicles. And that, as a journalist, I feel a responsibility, because I know a lot of people contact me for car buying advice guidance. I know a lot of people buy cars on the basis of what I tell them. Or what my reviews tell them, so I feel a sense of responsibility to that. So my intention always is to try and bring you a pure, unbiased review that helps you or informs you to make that car buying decision. Now, again, that's what differentiates us from them. Then you would ask the question, well then, if I'm running a YouTube channel, I have social media, I'm kind of, like I said, one leg in each camp. I do freelance on magazines and newspapers, but I do this as well. And you would say, well, okay, well, if you are offered these opportunities from manufacturers or sponsors or whatever, would you not take them? Yeah, of course I would take them, because at the end of the day, you're watching this content for free. I'm making the content, and what a lot of people don't realize, and where I have to give due respect to all of the content creators out there, and from the work that I do, pretty much as single-handedly, it takes a lot of time, effort, dedication, and indeed money to make this content. And there isn't a direct return, there isn't a direct reward on this. That's why I rely on you guys watching and sharing my content, so my YouTube views can go up, so I can get at least a little tiny little stream of money from there, and of course supporting me on Patreon, which is again is very important. But that's not a lot of money. That doesn't cover even the cost of fueling the cars that I test. It wouldn't even cover that. But that's how these things work. They're in it to make money, and they're in it to make big money. If I had the opportunity, I would do that content. I have done that content. If you look at my previous channel where I used to work motoring Middle East, in fact, on this channel, if you look at my playlist, you'll find a playlist that says my commercial videos, and there you'll see content that we created specifically as branded and sponsored content for manufacturers and dealers. And we have done that sort of thing, and I would do that sort of thing. But the point is that even when we were doing it, that we made very clear that was that content, and our review content was still our review content that was independent, unbiased, and brought to you to help you make a informed car buying decision. So, yeah, of course, you have to differentiate between the two. The deal that he was talking about, people take umbrage at, well, he's getting free parts, but he's asking for money. But if he has a car and he's bought the car, and even if he's been given the car, but he's pushing it out there to such a big audience, and you go, well, it's value. It's the value that he's giving them. So you can't really blame them. Don't forget, the other part of all of this shitstorm, as it were, is the fact that everybody gains from this, to be honest with you. They all get publicity. The more you talk about them, it's interesting, because somebody asked a question on that podcast to JWW, and they said, have you had negative repercussions in terms of business because of this? So, have companies withdrawn from you, have clients gone cold on you? And he says, no, on the contrary, I'm getting more support than I had before. And I think that is obviously one of the byproducts of whenever this kind of thing happens. So there is a certain cynicism about this, or there's a certain cynical side of me that says that every now and then these kind of things happen in the media, and they could almost be orchestrated, because ultimately everybody that's involved in it benefits from it, because again, numbers go up, more content is created. I ended up listening to that podcast today on an app that I never used before. So these kind of things happen. So ultimately you think, well, who is creating these monsters? Who's doing all of this? Well, it's you guys. It's ultimately, like I said before, it's down to you. You're feeding this machine. You're feeding this machinery. And to be fair, that's fine. It's no problem. If you find the content entertaining, enjoyable, whatever, then that's fine. You just got to be clear about differentiating between the entertainment side of the content, which is just, stuff that you want to click and watch, and it's fun, and it's like, look, there's a lifestyle that you aspire to, you can never have, whatever, look at it. It's an insight. insight into a whole world that maybe you want to find out more about. And the other side where it's informative, it's factual, still entertaining, but it's useful and it's helpful. And what you've got to do is you've got to remember to support both sides of these, because ultimately, in my world, the ultimate ideal scenario would be where I was so financially independent that I could buy, like a bit like Consumer Reports in America, that never take cars from manufacturers. They actually buy every single car and they test them. I don't think anybody can be in that position that they are, but it would be good to be able to be independent, not being reliant on, advertising revenue, anything like that. And so, then people can bring you true independent reviews. Not that we don't try, we certainly do. I mean, to be honest, I have no advertising clients at the moment, so I'm independent anyway. So, but it's up to you to go, right, these guys are helping us buy cars, they're helping us get informed and knowledgeable about what car we should be looking at and why and how to run it and all the rest of it. Plus it's useful entertainment information, plus he gives us knowledge about the industry and about what's going on. So you need to decide, well, you know what, we need to give him clicks, or we need to give this person clicks and Patreon support and all the rest of it as well as these guys. Ultimately, it's all a bit of fun, isn't it? It's all a bit of fun. It's all part of the car community, the car culture, talking about these personalities, talking about these characters and what's going on between them. And when they fall out, it's like, oh, look what's happened. It's all a bit of a laugh, really, isn't it? But it's all part of that mechanism. It's all part of that machinery. Anyway, I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts on not only what I've said, but also on the situation as it occurred and as we know of it in the public domain. Of course, I said I don't know what's going on behind the scenes or whatever, but this is kind of what's out there, and they were very clear on this podcast, which I did enjoy. So thank you for that, gentlemen. So let me know what you thought of it. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and try to leave a comment. That would be awesome. Make sure that you're subscribing, of course. That's to youtube.com/browncarguy, and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my videos. Whilst you're at it, also follow my blog, browncarguy.com. And of course, follow me on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. Just search for my hashtag, of course, hashtag browncarguy. Hey, if you enjoy my content, then you know what? You could sponsor it, and you can do that at patreon.com/browncarguy. And join these wonderful people scrolling up on the screen right now. Your name could also be here, along with Muhammad Ali Humaid, Partha Srinivasan, Tom Conway Gordon, Isaac Beauchard, Raza Adil, Muhammad Qasim Siraj Abbasi, and of course Mark Waddell. Go to patreon.com/browncarguy. It's from as little as £2, $2 a month. Price of a coffee. Hey guys, buy me a coffee. Why not? If you enjoy my content. If you can't do that, make sure you're continuing to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.